Hello, grade 5. So this will be your third lesson, I do believe it is, on decimals. So we're first going to review something that we've already worked with before. So let's represent numbers using base 10 blocks. So this is my number here. Let me grab a black marker here. 3,124. Okay, so let's represent this number using base 10 blocks. So let me grab this here. So you started on the right? So how many ones? 3, 4. Okay, how many rods? 1, 2. How many flats? Well, just one because there's only 100. And then how many of the big cubes? 3, right? So there's 3,124. We can also use our base 10 blocks like the video showed yesterday. We can also use our base 10 blocks to represent numbers that are smaller than 1, which is our decimals, okay? So let me reset that. Do this. So usually when we are using the base 10 blocks, right, your ones, your units, we say a one is this, right? It's just a small block. Well, when we're using our base 10 blocks to represent decimals, what we're actually going to do is we're going to say that the big block equals 1. Okay, the cube equals 1. Sorry, the cube. So instead of the small cube be representing 1, now it's the big cube. Okay, and why do we do that? Well, this is a way to use our base 10 blocks to represent numbers that are smaller than 1 whole, right? So when we're working with decimals, okay, it's always good to start off using a place value chart just like we did with our bigger numbers. So if I was to represent the number, okay, 1 and, so the dot there we say and, okay, when we're saying the decimal, 1 and 1/10. Okay, see the word tenth there. That's the place value for the first place value after the and, the dot, right? So if we were to represent this number using our base 10, well, our 1 represents the big cube, right? And the flat represents the 1/10. This might be really confusing because all of a sudden now this block that was worth 1,000 before is now only worth 1. Well, why is that? Well, in order to represent numbers up to the thousands, which is what you're working with in grade 5, we need to use the big block to represent 1, because if we think about it here, how many tenths would it take to make a whole? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? It takes 10 tenths to make 1 whole, right? So we use our biggest cube here, or the cube here as the ones, and then as we move to the right, just like with whole numbers, the numbers are getting smaller, right? And then as we move to the hundredths, it's represented with our rods, right? So it would take 10 of these to get 1/10. So it takes 10 hundredths, right? 10 hundredths to get 1/10, right? It's the same, it's times 10, right? Times 10 times 10. And then we use our little cubes to represent the thousandths, okay? So that's really why we're using our base 10 as having the ones be represented by the big cube, because we can use all our smaller cubes, our smaller base 10 blocks, so our flats, our rods, and our units to represent all the way to the thousandths place. Okay, so we'll do a few more. This is what you're going to be doing today, is you're going to be making your own place value chart, and then adding in your numbers. So let's reset everything. All right, let me erase that there. Okay, we're going to use our place value chart. So you'll be drawing the base 10, and I'll review how you draw the base 10 like we did for our first unit of the year. at the end of this video, okay? So, okay, I'm going to, again, and it's always good, actually, and I should have done this when I was just doing it. I mean, it's already done there for you, but on your paper, what you need to do, this is very, very important, when you're going to be representing your base 10 using your place value chart and drawing them, somewhere on your paper, you need to say 1 equals, okay, and you're going to, oops, okay, let me erase that. What I'm trying to draw is the cube. This is what you're going to draw on your paper. Okay, ooh, I'm pretty satisfied with that. So it tells any random person that was looking at your paper what 1 represents, right? The base 10 are just a way to represent our numbers, right? So we have to say this. This is important. Okay, so what you're going to be doing today is I'm going to be having some numbers for you to represent on the place value chart. So we're just going to run through a few together, okay? So 2 and 124 thousandths. Okay, so whenever it's a number that's bigger than, or sorry, let me repeat that. Whenever we get past the tenths and the hundredths, we're going to say 124 thousandths. I'll do another example that just goes to the hundredths and another example that just goes to the tenths so we can get some practice saying these. So 1 and 124 thousandths. Okay, or sorry, it was 2. My bad, it was 2. So let's represent it. So of course, our ones are represented with our big cubes. Our tenths are represented with our flats. Our rods, how many do we need, right? And how many of these do we need of the units? 4. So 2 and, let me draw 2 and 124 thousandths. Another thing we're going to be doing, this is just the same as the beginning of the year, is we're going to be writing it in word form. Okay, so this is not for today, but word form is how we're saying it, right? So let's say it again. 2 and 124 thousandths. Okay, let me erase that. Let me erase that, and then we'll do another example together, okay? All right, here we go. So let me reset. My place value chart. Remember, 1 is represented with the cube. You always draw that on your paper somewhere. Okay. All right. Let me go with something else. Sorry. Okay, so that's a 4 and 29 hundredths. That's what that would be called. So let's represent it. It's always good to practice saying it as well. Okay, so 4, 2, 3, 4, 29. 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 4, 6, 9. Good. 4 and 29 hundredths. Okay. Let's do another example. Grab my eraser here. All right. Place value chart back up. Remember, we have to say the 1 equals the cube. All right, here we go. So 3 and 2 tenths. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 2 tenths. Okay, so you only say until the last place value after the decimal and work with decimal numbers. So we don't have to say 3 and 2 tenths and 0 hundredths, 0 thousandths, right? we're just saying 3 and 2/10. So you'll notice me saying and I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, right? We always said you can't use and. Well, the reason you can't use the word and if you're not working with decimals is and actually needs the decimal point when we're saying it in word form. So, okay, let's do one more together, okay? If you want to stick around for this one, you can, or if you want to go right to the activity, you can as well if you feel ready. All right, so reset. Okay. All right. It's a 0. Okay, so just 12. Okay, we got 12 hundredths. All right, here we go. So here we actually don't have any big cubes, right? So it's just, okay, so 1/10 and gonna be 2 hundredths. Okay, so it's just 12 hundredths, right? That's how we would say that one. We don't have to say the 0 because that would be known to someone if you were telling them 12 hundredths. They'd be able to put that up there with knowing that there would be the 0 there. And that's something else we'll talk about another day. But for today, what I want you to do is draw your place value chart. Okay, and then you're going to be putting in these numbers and then practice saying them out loud too. And if you need to look up on Google as how to say one, and maybe I could try to find some kind of website that will help with that too, right? So I'll post the work there, and the video will be posted later in the day to give the answers or just a picture if that's fine too. All right, have a good one.